Last time, we talked about physical AI. AI is starting to move out of screens and into the real world.
Yeah, robots walking, working, driving. AI feels less like an app now and more like part of society itself.
Exactly. But behind all of that, there's another huge system supporting everything.
So, there is still another final boss behind AI?
Honestly, maybe the biggest one yet.
So AI is not just becoming smarter. It feels like it is turning into an entire civilization.
That final boss is the data center.
I used to imagine data centers as quiet rooms full of servers and air conditioners.
That used to be closer to the truth. But modern AI data centers are completely different now.
Different how? Just bigger?
Much bigger. Modern AI data centers require enormous electrical power, industrial-scale cooling, ultra-fast networking, and massive numbers of GPUs. They are becoming giant AI factories.
That is crazy. I thought AI was mostly software engineering, but suddenly we are talking about electricity, land, cooling systems, and infrastructure.
That is one of the most important things to understand about modern AI. AI is not floating in the cloud by magic. It runs on physical infrastructure.
So, when we open ChatGPT, somewhere out there, an enormous facility full of GPUs is working nonstop.
Exactly. Today we are going to explore what data centers really are, what happens inside them, and why the world is building so many of them right now.
Okay, now I really want to see what is inside AI's home.
So first, what exactly is a data center? At its core, a data center is a massive facility filled with computers that run continuously and provide services to the entire world.
But companies already had server rooms before, right? What makes these different?
Good question. Traditional server rooms usually supported one company internally. Modern data centers support global-scale services.
So basically, modern life itself runs through data centers now.
Exactly. Think about how many services rely on them. Google Search, YouTube, Netflix, AWS, Azure, and ChatGPT. All of them run inside data centers somewhere in the world.
That means every time we search, stream videos, use maps, shop online, or talk to AI, we are interacting with giant computing facilities without realizing it.
Right. Data centers have quietly become critical social infrastructure.
I used to imagine the cloud as something abstract and digital, but it is actually extremely physical.
Exactly. Behind the word cloud are buildings, power systems, semiconductors, networking equipment, and cooling systems.
So, the cloud is not floating in the sky at all. It is basically industrial infrastructure with a softer marketing name.
That is actually a pretty accurate way to put it. Now, let's look at what actually happens inside these facilities.
Yeah, I'm curious. What are all those GPUs actually doing?
For systems like ChatGPT, they are constantly processing requests, generating text, answering questions, analyzing information, and writing code for millions of users simultaneously.
So, somewhere out there, giant GPU clusters are processing the world's homework, emails, and coding questions 24 hours a day.
Pretty much, yes.
So ChatGPT is basically working inside a giant GPU factory all day long.
Modern AI data centers combine several important technologies together. GPUs for computation, HBM for extremely fast memory access, and high-speed networking to connect huge numbers of GPUs.
So it is not just one supercomputer, it is thousands of GPUs working together like a giant team.
Exactly. Large AI models require enormous parallel computing systems.
Honestly, this sounds less like a computer and more like an industrial-scale machine civilization.
That is not far from reality anymore.
And these AI server racks can cost millions of dollars each, right?
Yes, some racks can reach incredibly high prices because of the GPUs, networking hardware, and memory inside them.
The phrase server rack sounds way too casual for something that expensive.
So why are data centers suddenly expanding everywhere?
I'm guessing ChatGPT had a huge impact.
Definitely. Generative AI changed the entire industry very quickly.
Yeah, it felt like the whole world suddenly started talking about AI at the same time.
Before generative AI, most cloud infrastructure focused on things like video streaming, search engines, and social media. But AI workloads are very different.
Because AI needs way more computation.
Exactly. Generative AI requires far more GPU power than traditional search.
So smarter AI also means hungrier AI. So the AI race is not just about smarter models anymore. It is turning into a construction race too.
That is why companies are now racing to secure GPUs, electrical power, land, and cooling capacity.
So, the AI race is becoming physical infrastructure competition.
Very much so. This demand could grow even more with AI search, AI agents, video generation AI, and robotics AI.
Which means future AI systems could require even larger infrastructure than today.
Exactly. That is why major tech companies are investing tens of billions of dollars into AI infrastructure.
It is interesting. AI companies used to feel like software companies. Now they're starting to look like industrial companies.
That is actually one of the defining characteristics of the AI era.
The deeper we go into AI, the more this feels like a new industrial revolution.
So who are the major players in this AI infrastructure race? The first company we absolutely have to talk about is NVIDIA.
Honestly, NVIDIA does not feel like just a GPU company anymore. It feels like an arms dealer for the AI era.
That is because modern AI data centers are heavily built around NVIDIA GPUs.
So, whoever controls GPUs basically controls the AI race.
Exactly. NVIDIA's influence goes beyond GPUs now. They are also deeply involved in AI servers, networking systems, AI software ecosystems, and high-speed interconnects.
So they are not just selling chips anymore. They are shaping the entire AI factory itself.
That is a big reason why NVIDIA became so important. Then you have companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta buying enormous amounts of GPUs to build AI infrastructure.
So AI competition is not just who has the smartest model anymore. It is also who owns the most computing power.
Exactly.
That changes how you think about AI completely. It is not just algorithms anymore. It is industrial-scale infrastructure.
That is why data centers became one of the most important topics in the AI era. So where are these giant data centers actually being built?
I honestly assumed they would just build them near big cities.
Cities are important, but modern AI infrastructure depends heavily on electricity, cooling, land availability, and network access.
So physical geography suddenly matters again.
Exactly.
It is funny. We started by talking about futuristic AI, and somehow ended up talking about electricity and land.
For example, Northern Europe is attractive because cooler climates help reduce cooling costs.
Right, because GPUs generate massive heat.
Exactly. Cooling has become one of the biggest operational challenges. Meanwhile, places like the Middle East are investing heavily in AI infrastructure, using their financial resources and energy capacity.
That explains why the Middle East suddenly appears in so many AI investment headlines lately.
Exactly. And now AI is becoming connected to things like nuclear power, renewable energy, electrical grids, and national infrastructure.
At this point, AI feels less like a software industry and more like civilization-scale infrastructure planning.
Honestly, that is not an exaggeration anymore. At this point, data centers are no longer just IT facilities.
Yeah, my image of them completely changed during this video.
Modern AI infrastructure combines computation, networking, power systems, and cooling systems, all at enormous scale.
And the more AI grows, the more physical infrastructure it seems to require.
Exactly.
So AI is not just becoming smarter, it is becoming physically larger too.
That is one of the most important shifts happening right now. In the past, software companies mainly focused on algorithms and applications. But now, AI companies must also think about data centers, GPUs, power generation, cooling capacity, and global infrastructure.
So, modern AI companies are starting to resemble infrastructure companies.
Very much so. Companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta are investing enormous amounts of money because they believe AI infrastructure will become critical for the future economy.
And once you think about robotics, AI agents, autonomous vehicles, and video generation, the infrastructure demand probably keeps growing from here.
Exactly. AI expansion also means infrastructure expansion.
That is honestly fascinating. We started this series talking about semiconductors, and now we are talking about energy grids and industrial-scale facilities.
Because all of those things are becoming connected in the AI era.
The deeper we go into AI, the more it feels like we are studying the structure of an entirely new industrial civilization.
That might actually be the best way to describe it. Today we explored what data centers are and why they became so important in the AI era.
Honestly, I used to think data centers were just rooms full of servers. Now they feel more like giant AI factories powering modern society.
And that transformation is happening incredibly quickly.
The deeper we went into this topic, the more AI started feeling less like software and more like industrial infrastructure.
Modern AI systems require GPUs, networking, cooling, and electrical infrastructure all working together simultaneously.
And now, AI competition is not just about making smarter models anymore. It is also about who has the most GPUs, who can secure enough electricity, and who can build enough infrastructure.
Exactly. That is why data centers became one of the central topics of the AI era.
It is kind of amazing. We open ChatGPT casually every day, but behind it is this gigantic industrial-scale system operating non-stop.
And that infrastructure will likely continue expanding as AI becomes more advanced.
So AI is not just changing software, it is changing energy systems, construction, infrastructure, and maybe even how civilization itself is organized.
That is why understanding infrastructure is becoming just as important as understanding AI models themselves.
Honestly, this series makes AI feel way bigger than I originally imagined.
Next time, we will explore another major topic. Why does AI consume so much electricity and water?
Yeah, after today, that question suddenly feels a lot more serious.
Thanks for watching today's video. See you next time.